Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear sisters. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Salma. I'm a former midwife turned mentor for Muslim moms in the community. I'm a mom of 6. And here on this channel, we talk about all things connected to raising healthy Muslim families. And one of those things is our relationship with the Quran. So today I wanted to talk about why your Hifdh journey is so hard, particularly for Muslim moms, why it's so hard. And I don't want to talk about it to discourage you, but just to finally make you feel seen and heard, right? Because this is something I've been hearing all over and over again in the Muslim community, particularly in the community of practicing Muslim moms who want to study the Quran, who want to be dedicated to the words of Allah. And something I've experienced in the last 25 years that I've been in this journey of learning the Quran myself and teaching my kids and wanting us all to be from Ahlul Quran, inshallah. So 3 things why your journey is so hard. And again, I'm hoping this makes you feel seen and heard, because then you're not going to be feeling alone, and you want, this desire to quit, or the thinking that this is not for you is going to be a little bit easier, and you will find space in this Quranic learning community, inshallah. And I'm hoping this will be something that works for you. First thing, why is it so hard? Why is your Hifdh journey so hard? Because you're not just a student, but you're a teacher, you're a mom, you're a cook, you're a cleaner, you are a taxi driver, you are the nurse, you're the referee between the kids, right? So the journey is not linear. It's not like you go to Quran school, you go to madrasa and you memorize your lessons and then you have a required thing. For those of you maybe who memorized the Quran in your youth, in some Quran school or madrasa or duksi or whatever it was, maybe this is what like that. But now as a mom, if you came to this journey late, if you may be a convert, or if you're somebody who just picked up the Quran later on in life, it doesn't follow like a school curriculum, right? And so you're not just a student where you show up and do the class, but you have all these other things. You have babies who are interrupting. You have toddlers who want something. You're sitting there trying to do your review, and then the kids are fighting, or you can't focus, right? And so you're not just a student. So this is why it's so hard. You have many roles that you're fulfilling. And so how many times have you tried maybe to enroll in a class and you couldn't, right? Or even you scheduled an online class and your kids are sick, or something happens, or guests are coming uninvited, or your kids get sick. Again, I said that, but that's one that keeps coming up, right? How many times my Quran teacher has canceled because her children were sick, or how many times did I have to, maybe stay up at night because of something and then I couldn't make it to my class, right? So you are not just a student, so you cannot expect perfection. You cannot expect, this is why the struggle is hard, because you have so many roles to fulfill, and hopefully you can show some kindness to yourself on this journey, right? So you can kind of see that that's okay, because the reward is not less. Allah sees all of your efforts, right? So if one ayah is all you can do today, that's better than nothing, right? And often we're caught up in this, loop of like, well, I gotta do the classes, I gotta do these kind of things. And maybe in this season of life when your children are little, you cannot be in a full-time program. Maybe you can do something little. There's so many options online these days that you can find maybe something that works for you. But keep in mind that you're not a full-time student. You cannot enroll in a full-time Hifdh program maybe, or you cannot dedicate hours and hours of your day because you have other things to do. So this is why your journey feels hard, because you're not just a student, you have so many other roles to fulfill. The second reason why your journey is hard is because you're unlearning. First, you have to unlearn so many things before you're learning. And what do I mean by this? I mean that the emotional side of studying the Quran is not easy. It's not easy at all. Many of us did not grow up in Quran-centered homes. There's, few sisters that can say, oh, I grew up with my parents playing the Quran for me, and my parents teaching me in a nice and kind way. But a lot of us carry trauma. A lot of us carry bad experiences. A lot of us carry shame and guilt, or we came to the Quran later on in life. And there's a lot of unlearning that has to happen. There's a lot of emotional baggage connected to the journey of the Quran. Maybe we've been criticized too much. Maybe we've been told like we're not enough. Maybe the Quranic learning experience is a tough one, right? This is pretty much the only activity where you go intentionally to someone, your Quran teacher, to intentionally take you apart, right? To point out your mistakes. This is not an easy process, right? And there's a lot of unlearning to be done. And this is why it's hard, right? There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of feeling guilty that we haven't done it perfectly, that we have not shown up the way we want to. And particularly as moms, right? We might feel embarrassed that we have to cancel a class. We might feel, oh, I fell behind in my homework. This is not for me, right? Oh, I still cannot pronounce the letters. It is so hard. the shame and the guilt in wanting to quit and thinking this is not for you. This is a common theme that I see in Quranic learning spaces, where women are putting this internal burden on themselves, right? Where they're doubting their ability. Is this even for me? Maybe the Quranic learning is just for some special brilliant person, and I don't fit this mold. Or maybe I'm not Arab and I don't understand what it is, and I keep having the same huruf corrected over and over again, and it's just really, really hard. So there's a lot of unlearning that happens at the same time while you're learning the Quran. And so unlearning the same expectations of perfectionism, that everything has to be perfect. The Quran takes time. The Quran wants time from us, right? And that is hard to do as a mom. So the shaitan is kind of whispering like, well, okay, if it's not perfect, and if you don't have that quiet moment to recite, then just don't do it at all, right? Or if you don't have the space and the commitment. And so sometimes the goal is just not to quit. The goal is maybe, okay, I cannot memorize, but I can read today, right? I can open up, I can read one page. I can read the 2 pages facing each other, right? Like maybe that's something I can do today because I'm already here. Or maybe I can just read on an app. Or maybe I'm nursing the baby and this is something that can happen. So a lot of unlearning, a lot of ideas in your head how it might look like. And when you are dissatisfied with yourself, when you're feeling discouraged, when you're feeling like this is not working, when maybe you're not matching with your teacher's style, right? Where maybe even the place where you're going to, it's not working. I remember one of the teachers, many years ago, he said, just because the chicken is halal doesn't mean it's tasty. So just because it's a Quranic learning environment doesn't mean it's any good, unfortunately. So maybe your teachers are not quite equipped to deal with somebody like you. Maybe you have some neurodivergent issues. Maybe you have some physical issues. Maybe your teeth are spread apart differently, right? Maybe you have tongue tie. And so it's very difficult to lift your tongue, or it's difficult to pronounce certain letters due to the shape of your teeth, for example. So there's many ways that the journey can be hard. And so we have to unlearn these expectations of perfection, right? Like we have to unlearn this emotional kind of stuff tied to the Quranic learning, right? So here a good recommendation is to kind of journal and to kind of speak to somebody trusted about your struggles, right? Because this is a common one. And I think we also feel embarrassed to admit that Quranic learning is hard, right? Because we associate it then immediately with low iman, like, oh, maybe we're getting tired, maybe it's boring, right? Because we're doing the same repetition. And sometimes there's a reason for that, something easily that can be fixed, but we have to speak to somebody about that, right? So we have to kind of lift the shame surrounding the Quranic learning experience. So many women are suffering in that regard. And the third reason why this is hard, so I said first reason why it's hard is because we are not just students. Second reason is because we have to unlearn a lot of things. And the third one is because we expect instant results, right? Like we are upset that we don't know this already, right? Like we take 1 or 2 classes and then it's like, okay, I haven't mastered this. It requires a lot of practice, right? Quranic learning or pronunciation of the letters or memorization itself, right? It's something that has to be done repeatedly over many, many years, right? It's not something that's ever done at all. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? Like you cannot just go to the gym once and expect instant results, right? You have to master a skill. But in the case of Quranic learning, and this is what we know from the hadith, like if we don't maintain it, it will also run away. The Quran will leave us, right? Subhanallah. So we cannot expect instant results. And I think, there's a lot of spaces out there where people are saying, I memorized the Quran in such and such time, in 2 years, or there was a Hafiz who did this in 3 months or something. Those are miraculous results. Allahumma barik to all those people who have done that. But more often than not, the journey of the Quran takes years and years and years of sweat, blood, and tears, as they say, right? And so when we expect quick results, I think that's the problem. That's where we get disappointed and we want to quit. So I want to kind of encourage you to stay on this journey, even if it's taking you a really long time, even if you're struggling, even if you're comparing yourself to other people, which you should not do. Maybe you're saying like, oh, well, this person maybe has been Muslim less years than I am and they're reciting, or that other sister is managing so much more with her children and look at me, I'm not managing. There is challenges that everybody's facing and we cannot expect instant results. And I think that's not talked about enough, that the journey takes a really, really long time and it takes maintenance, right? That if we don't recite the Quran, if we don't pray with it, if we don't repeat it at night, if we don't repeat it in the daytime, it will get away from us, right? And so instant results, it's not something that's happening with the Quran. So it takes such a long practice. And I wish somebody would have told me this at the beginning of my journey many years ago, because I think over the years we had such unrealistic expectations of how long this would take, you know. And I think even in teaching our children, we had unrealistic expectations. So alhamdulillah, we've been blessed with a large family and a large age gap. So we're able to turn some of these insights into different behavior towards the younger children, right? And we can kind of try to pick up better solutions, inshallah, right? And so if you're on this journey of the Quran, I want you to know that it's hard for many of us, right? And then often that ayah is quoted, right? Is there anybody who wants to memorize the Quran? And I'm paraphrasing the meaning here. I want to stick with the English because a lot of my audience does not speak Arabic or is not quite fluent in the Quranic recitation. So the issue is, it is still quite hard. The journey is hard, right? And doesn't mean it's any less rewarding. Allah sees every step of the way. But I think we're not talking quite enough that this is a challenge, right? It's a challenge to show up. It's a challenge to sometimes persevere with the learning, even though it's hard. Or even like you feel like you're not worthy. So many of us feel like we cannot show up in the Quran because we're not perfect, right? We make mistakes. And how can we do this noble act of memorizing the Quran because we don't feel like we deserve it, right? And so there's so much unlearning and so much emotional stuff that needs to happen. And so I just want to let you know that you're not alone on this journey, and we're here to support each other, and we're here to talk about these things. And if you do this kind of act of showing up and still struggling and making dua first and foremost, that Allah connects you with His book, this will also have a ripple effect on your children, right? Because your children will see the struggle, and your children are going through the same struggle. So I highly, highly recommend for all the mothers who are wanting their children to memorize the Quran, that they embark upon the journey of Hifdh themselves, because they will understand the struggle better. They will understand how difficult it is to take criticism, how difficult it is to have to repeat the same mistakes all over again and to not know how to fix them and to be set back. And if the memorization of an ayah takes forever and then we think we got it and then we forgot it again, right? And so if we want to support our children on this noble path, I think it's highly, highly recommended that you embark upon the journey yourself and that you don't quit. So even if it's something little, even if you can just listen today rather than read because your hands are full, you've got kids to take care of. Like I said, you're not just a student. Do not quit. Try to find the time, and do not allow yourself any 0 days. You know, in the productivity world, they say, you know, don't have any 0 days, don't skip, like just do something. And so if you find it hard to get back to the Quran, you know, try to do at least an ayah. Just do an ayah and it's okay. Like at least you didn't have a 0 day, right? Like you're kind of keeping that connection. And so the journey is hard, but it's not just you who's struggling with it. It's a common struggle, and I want you to stay on this path. I want to encourage you that this is for you, okay? And it will be a gradual change, inshallah. And the Quran itself was revealed over a period of 23 years, okay? And the Sahaba were implementing what they were learning, okay? So this begs the question then, well, why are we memorizing the Quran in the first place, right? Because we can use it in our lives, right? This is our guide. And so the memorization, when it gets hard, lean back into the Quran, not just the words of mechanical repetition, but rather the meaning, and connect to the words of Allah and ask Allah to make the journey easy for you, inshallah. All right. I hope this is beneficial for you and it kind of encourages you to stay on the journey. I run an online support community for moms called Mommy Mondays. We open up enrollment every quarter. The doors are open now in April, from April 13th to April 20th. You can check out the link below in the description. I'm going to run a free session tomorrow, inshallah, so you can join and see what this community is all about. We meet on Zoom. We have live calls where we share different struggles, such as maybe struggling with the Quran, where we talk about the challenges of raising our children, where we talk about, you know, how to show up better as moms. And so it's a very solution-based approach where we kind of make space to talk about all these issues, but also where we don't want to be victims, but rather want to be proactive, and we kind of brainstorm ways together or how to set boundaries and how to protect our energy levels so we can show up as best versions of moms, inshallah, for our Muslim families, okay? So you can check out the links below, and I'll see you next week, inshallah. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.